Hello everyone. Yes, you are all welcome to today's live session. So guys, today we want to look at what is happening in Lagos. There was this latest information as regards to Babajide's emergence as the governor of Lagos State. The LP and PDP are the tribunal in Lagos, and they are saying that the certificate that he used to emerge as winner was forged. And he's really battling this at the tribunal at the moment. So meaning that we have so many cases of forgery, and all thanks to Peter Obi, because with Peter Obi in this race, so many things are unfolding. Don't forget that the PDP and the LP, they are saying that he used the same certificate during his first term in office, but nobody was, that conscious to get to know what was happening until now. So it is now that they are saying that he used a forged certificate. And INEC has equally come up to say that, yes, this was the certificate he gave to us, and they can't trace it from WAEC. So this and more we are going to be discussing, including the state of the nation, the economy, how Nigeria is sliding. There are so many things, so many information packed for you guys, and I really want to appreciate you for joining us. So before we continue, I want us to take a look at this video. Let's just take a look at it, and from there we'll continue with what we have for you guys today.
Deputy Obafemi Hamzat, who were jointly the survivor of the Labour Party, and Olajide Adediran, also known as Jandor, from the People's Democratic Party, are seeking the disqualification of Babajide Sanwolu and his deputy Obafemi Hamzat, who were jointly declared winners of the governorship poll by the election management body INEC last March. While Adediran insists that Hamzat was not qualified to contest the election because he had renounced Nigeria's citizenship to fully take up that of the United States willingly, Rhodes Vivo is asking the tribunal to invalidate APC's victory for non-compliance with the Electoral Act 2022 and INEC's guidelines. On Saturday, their lawyers took turn to present respective final written argument ahead of the tribunal judgment. Clement Onwenwuno, who represented the People's Democratic Party, argued in his final written address that Governor Sanwolu lacked a secondary school leaving certificate and therefore was not qualified to have contested the governor's position.
You cannot be a candidate for an election if you are not qualified, if you are not properly sponsored by the political party. We've also been able to show before the court that if you submit any false certificate to INEC, then you'll be disqualified. And we've been able to show before the court, for instance, that Exhibit P36, which is the GCO level certificate submitted by His Excellency to INEC, was false. And although he denied submitting that certificate to INEC, but INEC in court testified that that certificate was presented by the governor in 2018 in the course of his first term in office. Now, we have demonstrated before the court that certificate tender issued by the grammar school from Pdp was false, and the master list presented by INEC by WAEC vindicated our position that the names in the said certificate differs from what appears on WAEC master list.
Speaking on behalf of the Labour Party and its governorship candidate, Olatunji Benson urged the tribunal to endorse his client's stance that the deputy governor lacked the qualifications to partake in the contest. He requested the removal of both the deputy governor and the governor from their offices, proposing the petitioner's declaration as the legitimate governor of Lagos State.
By Section 187.
So I'll stop it at that point. So let's just dive into this, Doc, because we are focusing on this forgery of a thing. We have seen it happen in Kano State, where a member of the NNPP was removed because of forgery. And we know that the current governor of Enugu State is equally battling his own, in Enugu State Tribunal. And our sitting president also has a case as regards to forgery to answer. So when you look at it, don't also forget that we have nominees for ministerial posts that were disqualified. I don't think they are going to consider them because they also have forgery related questions to answer. So you find out that this thing is so common among our politicians. So just paint this picture of, should the Lagos governor be removed from office on the basis of forgery, and then our president be removed from office on the basis of forgery? I don't know how it will look as in the image of Nigeria, because it appears this is very, very common among our politicians. Don't forget, these are just the few that we are getting to know. There might still be some that we don't even know about, and it will just take God's intervention to keep, exposing them. So, Doc, let me allow you come in at this point.
Okay, good evening, people, and it's going to be another beautiful night or evening or afternoon, depending on wherever you are, or morning for those of you who are just waking up in Australia. All right, so as I'm writing here, I'm seeing NNPP versus APC in Kano State, Federal House of Rep. That has to do with certificate forgery, aside from other prayers that might have to do with election, INEC compliance. We are dealing with forgery and its implication today. And then we are looking at Labour Party and PDP versus APC in Lagos State governorship election. If the prayer, of course, in the one of the Kano State already, the hammer has dropped. The trial court has already disqualified the NNPP candidate on the account of forging certificates. And then if the hammer drops against APC in Lagos, that means that Sanwolu will no longer continue there as governor. And then in the third one again, I am privileged to have cited the draft copy. By a day after tomorrow, it will be adopted, of the final written address of Labour Party in Enugu against PDP that borders, amongst other things, certificate forgery, NYSC certificate forgery. Remember that even the Director General of NYSC appeared on channels and said, the NYS certificate this man is parading, we did not give it to him. The Director General wore his uniform and said it in channels and said, he came to me, he came to them, and they told him, Mr. Man, you're a lawyer. What you're carrying, we don't know where it came from. It's Oluole. And then we are going to be tying it. How does all these things tie into Peter Obi's petition and the APC presidential candidate? So I want you to sit tight and see how the whole thing is weaved together to the advantage of our principal, Peter Obi, because that is more important to us than every other thing. It's not as if Lagos is not important to Labour Party or Enugu is not interested. We're not interested in winning Enugu, but we know that the big apple is the presidency, Aso Rock. Okay, now, what I want to say with respect to the Lagos State Labour Party challenging Sanwolu with respect to the certificate he forged, and the same thing PDP, it boils down to what happened in Bauchi State in 2019 against one Ngololo. I've forgotten their names. Their names are hard to pronounce. But what happened then was that the guy in question had been in House of Rep from 2015 to 2019 with the same set of forged certificates. NYSC certificate, BSc certificate from Lagos State University, and MBA certificate from Lagos State University, and NYSC certificate. So he had the whole packet of forgery. BSc, MBA, and NYSC. And he succeeded in using it from 2015 to 2019 and resubmitted it again, and he was caught. You know why he was caught? I will explain it to you. The person who went to court used to be in the same party with him before. So they knew he was forging, but because they were in the same party, they covered each other. And now when the house got divided, the other person campaigned and came through the other party. He remembered that this guy used to run foul of the law and exposed him. That was how the appeal court then, which is the highest court to deal on House of Representatives, disqualified the guy. Now, remember that Jandor here used to be in APC. I don't know where Vivor used to be, but apparently they know all these things about Sanwolu and his guy. But because they have broken rank, the other one has gone to APC, to PDP, and the other one gone to Labour Party. They are now trying to say, we are not going to allow you to continue again, because the scenario in Lagos is like the scenario of Bauchi State. You understand what I'm trying to say now? So this guy had used the same set of forged certificates from 2019 to 2023 and resubmitted it again. Now they exposed him. But the question I must ask is, are they sure that what he submitted now is exactly what he submitted before? It's a hypothetical question, because if they have not done their homework well, they wouldn't have gone to court. And you can see that they are linking it with the fact that the same certificate he submitted now was also the same certificate he submitted in 2019 when he started his tenure. But the funny thing is that I don't even know why these people have to do all these things. Do you know do you know that the only thing INEC regulation require, Electoral Act require, or even our constitution, it's just a letter from the secondary school saying this person was our student? Because they didn't even need to make A's or B's or C's, as the case may be. That is why, like in primary school level, just a testimonial to say this person attended this school. That's all. That was why in the case of Buhari in 2015, they went to court. The secondary school, they said, was in Zaria, wrote a letter and said, we know this student, he attended our school, period. Now, but the mistake they make is this. They went and tendered a certificate. Nobody may be denying that they did not attend the school. But the law says under oath, you cannot submit red and say that it is blue. And what happens with these people is that they get so carried away, they may have this certificate too. They may have it, but they have lost it. Like me now, I don't know where I kept my first school living certificate, for goodness sake. I don't know where I kept it. But if my first school living certificate is an issue, what Nigerians do sometimes, because they like shortcuts, they go to do what? Somebody will say, oh, God, this thing is easy now. We can always arrange it for you. You know how I know? A member that is representing a local government in Enugu State House of Assembly forged his own first school living certificate. He forged his own school cert, please, or first school living certificate, yes, by saying that he got his own in 1990, whereas Enugu State was created in 1991. And it was written and signed in 1990, whereas Enugu State was not existing in 1990. Sometimes their brain is not even working well. It did not occur to him that Anambra's Enugu State was created in August 1991 by Babangida, that any certificate or testimonial that will be signed in 1990 will be carrying Anambra State. That's how untidy and careless this politician can be. But just like you said, because Peter Obi was not in the picture to push all of us to go and verify. They were succeeding. Now, that man that had gingered Nigerians and pushed us to go and verify, we are all triggered and we are verifying. And that's why all these things are popping up. The dominion, the more will follow. Many governors are going to be thrown away. Many people that are collecting billions now in the Senate will be thrown away, because this racketeering of certificate is everywhere, unless the judiciary decided to close their eyes. But if they're going to do what they're going to do, that case is as simple as anything. And now I want to tie it to the presidential election. How does it figure? How did it connect with the petitions of PDP? Because it was PDP that pleaded the case of forged certificate on APC presidential candidates. So people might be saying, is the judiciary going to drop the ball? Well, there is what is called Evidence Act in Nigeria. And when it comes to Evidence Act, there is a way you must present your evidence before the court will admit it, whether they know it is true or not. If you don't present it the right way, the court will not admit it. There is, I think, section 83 of the Evidence Act. I gave you a slide, just give it to me. So the question now I'm asking is, I wish I have seen the final address of both PDP and Labour Party in Lagos State, so that I can confirm from my own curiosity that the judges do not have any choice than to remove Sanwolu, because this is section 83, subsection 2 of our Evidence Act. And I'm going to use it to explain what Atiku Abubakar has done in his case regarding the forged certificate of the APC presidential candidate. And I believe, based on the Evidence Act, that Atiku has done a good job. And that job he has done, if it is upheld by the court, Aso Rock will be vacant in no distant time. Now, in that section 83, subsection 2 of the Evidence Act 2011, you can see it is written, in any proceedings, the court may at any stage of the proceedings, if having regard to all the circumstances of the case, it is satisfied that undue delay or expense would otherwise be caused, meaning if other logistics delay and the expense will be caused, order that the court may order that such a statement as is mentioned in subsection 1 of this section shall be admissible as evidence, or may, without any such order having been made, admit such a statement in evidence, notwithstanding that A, the maker of the statement is available but is not called as a witness. The maker is available but not called as a witness. Remember that the APC candidate's lawyer, Nnpp SAN, says, why the Chicago State University was not brought here to testify. You cannot carry Chicago State University to come. They are not obliged to come when there are other legal means. And they themselves did not go to bring Chicago State University to testify that their candidate had the certificate. They went to Chicago State University to bring his academic record. The question I am asking is, did this lawyer, Nnpp SAN, remember that the issue is not whether he attended university or not? The issue is the certificate he submitted to INEC. Was it the exact same copy of what Chicago State University have in their file? And secondly, if they submitted his record, is his certificate part of what APC submitted? Because if they omitted certificate, then the burden of proof is on them to prove Atiku Abubakar wrong, and they could not vacate it. Because Atiku is talking about certificate. They are talking about academic record. Did I tell you that I started MBA in UNEC and I didn't finish? Did I tell you that? Okay, I am saying it for Nigerians to know. I have my first degree in engineering, electronics engineering. And so, in order to get an MBA, I had to go do postgraduate diploma and finish my postgraduate diploma, started my MBA. But I didn't finish my MBA in UNEC. I finished my coursework, I finished my exams. The former Vice Chancellor of Anambra State University, which is now Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Professor Okafor, he was my lecturer. I have his book here on investment and securities. I didn't finish. Why? Because I traveled overseas for a holiday and I ran into one of my clients. I used to manage portfolio. And then I was writing my final dissertation, what we call project. So when I went to his school, he was doing his master's degree then. I said, I'm looking for material. The guy exposed me to material and I'm like, wow. I was struggling for journals in Nigeria. And here the journals were all in my face. I got angry. That was around May that year. I got angry and went back to Nigeria and processed my admission, crossed over and started my master's degree over here and abandoned that one. And so when I finished my master's degree, I proceeded straight to start my PhD. So the question is, if you go to University of Nigeria, will you not see my academic record? Will you not see my admission letter? Will you not see the receipt of my school fees paid? Will you not see my result being marked? But did I get a certificate from that place? Did I get a certificate that I got an MBA? No. So if I bring all the picture of my classmate or even where I'm shaking the hand of my lecturer and the proof of my school fees, does that give me certificate? The answer is no. So please, I didn't drop out. I dropped forward. I didn't drop out of school because I have to come and do masters in the UK. And as God may have it, I came out with distinction. And that was why my supervisor and my academic advisor said, your results, go on. I like the way you think. Go and do PhD. And that's how I progressed to do my PhD. So don't say that I'm a dropout. I'm not a dropout. Okay. But then, so if indeed APC brought his academic record, that should include the certificate the university issued him. Now, the copy of the certificate that university would have given to them is not the exact same copy of what he submitted to INEC. But based on the section 2A of our Evidence Act, Chicago State University is not even mandated to come because the cost and the time is not there. They may say, okay, we'll come in 3 months' time. And the law says here, when the time is not there, a physical documentary evidence can work. It says, number 2B says, the original document is not produced in lieu of it. No, give me that. I'm not done reading. Give me that slide again. It says, the original document is not produced. In lieu of it, there is produced a copy of the original document or of the material part of it certified to be a true copy in such a manner as may be specified in the order or as the court may approve, as the case may be. So the question is, the physical document is not there, which is where the certified true copy comes to be. This is where the whole issue of certified true copy is in our law. Now, Enahoro Eba, a lawyer who is practicing in Nigeria, who have a chamber in Abuja, went to USA, got another law firm that subpoenaed Chicago State University, mandating Chicago State University to produce the result of this candidate. And Chicago State University, by that act of legal document, the subpoena, produced a copy of the certificate they issued to that name. And then Nahoro came to Nigeria, went to INEC and asked INEC, give me, based on Freedom of Information Act, give me all the documents submitted by this candidate. And when INEC gave him those documents, the one that he submitted and the one the university gave differed. So that document is what Enahoro Eba, as a lawyer, offered to Tinubu. And a copy of it is with the High Court in Abuja, because that is where Enahoro Eba submitted it. So I, in my own understanding of this Evidence Act, feel that Atiku has tied every loose end that will allow anybody to throw it out based on technicality. And if it is upheld, thanks goodness, because it is favoring Labour Party. It's favoring Labour Party because we know that when he's disqualified, we will now say, let us count the valid votes. And when the valid votes are counted, Labour Party will come on top. So I believe that in every situation, as I keep saying, head or tail, Labour Party is in a good place. So that is it. We don't have time now. We need to deal with what is happening in Nigeria.
We really need to
so let's move on.
Move forward. Yeah, Doctor, thank you so much. But so, guys, don't forget that Babajide Sanwo-Olu is really getting this heat from two ends, as in two different ends. Apart from his certificate that has been brought under scrutiny, his vice, his deputies equally having a case. So let's just take a look at this briefly.
Of the Constitution, a governor's candidacy is invalid, or his qualification is invalid if he doesn't have a deputy governor. I mean, a valid deputy governor. The deputy governor of the APC, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, has admitted in his Form EC9 that he made a declaration of allegiance to the United States of America. He even took the same document before a commissioner of oaths and swore to an affidavit saying that, yes, it is true, he made a declaration of allegiance to the United States of America. What's more, if Section 182(1)(a) says that once you have made a declaration of allegiance to another country, you are disqualified. It borders not on his citizenship.
In response, Sanwo-Olu's counsel, Wole Olanipekun, in his address, urged the tribunal to dismiss the petitions from the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party, stating that they lacked merit and were essentially academic exercises. Abiodun Owonekoko, representing the...
So, guys, let's take it like that. So you can see that, honestly, Babajide Sanwo-Olu might end up not surviving this if he is having his own case there and his deputy equally has his own to answer. And if his deputy is disqualified, definitely Babajide Sanwo-Olu will be affected, meaning that the possibility of him leaving office is just high, as in it's high. And like I said initially, just imagine him being removed on the basis of forgery, and then a sitting president equally has a case as regards to that. Honestly, it does not really tell good story of, about our country and the desperation among our politicians. Because like Doctor said, it's not as if he didn't go to school. But if you don't have the certificate, why tell INEC I have it? And why even submit the wrong one? They can easily go and trace this thing, assuming you schooled in the village or anywhere, even if it's far away from you. You can take your time to get back your certificate. And WAEC is always available to provide all these things. But I don't know why they like going for all these shortcuts that will end up denting their image and, and equally destroying their political career. So, guys, honestly, for us, it is good news because we really want, Peter Obi has said it, that if you want to be called an excellency, let the process that took you to that level, be equally excellent. And that is what we want to be seen among our politicians. This is one of the reasons why we are just asking the judiciary to give Peter Obi his mandate, because with people like this, Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed, the system will be sanitized. When you are coming into politics, you check yourself well. And if you are submitting any document, you will ensure you submit the right document. So talking about what is happening in Nigeria, honestly, people are lamenting with the recent state of the nation. Things are not really looking well for Nigeria. So you can imagine where the wife to the governor of Ogun State has equally lent her voice. She's like crying out on the behalf of Nigerians, because definitely what we are passing through, they are not even feeling it. Those of them in places of power, they don't feel it. But I think she's speaking on the behalf of the poor masses, the ordinary Nigerians. You can see what she's saying, that this government is putting Nigeria through scary, difficult times. You can imagine an APC person, this is the wife to the governor of Ogun State, saying this. So definitely they all know that this government is not even doing anything to redeem Nigeria from what we are going through, or the mess that APC has put Nigeria into. So before we dive into this, let me quickly play this clip that has to do with what government or governance is supposed to be, or is supposed to mean to those who are in places of power.
Three treasures. The first treasure is our financial treasure, our reserves. The second treasure, Singapore has got three treasures. The first treasure is our financial treasure, our reserves. The second treasure is our social treasure, the unity of the people of Singapore, living in peace and harmony, united country. And the third treasure is good government, good administration. Because people all over the world, investors, they want to put money into Singapore, invest in factories because they admire good administration. So the president has the responsibility of protecting these three treasures: our financial treasure, our social treasure, and the treasure of an honest and capable public service and government.
Yes, talking about the economy, honestly, Nigeria is sliding. Things are not looking good at all from the latest reports. There are so many things going wrong. Don't forget that Nigeria is highly indebted. So let's take this clip, then I'll allow Dr. Tel to come in to share his thoughts with us.
Matters of national importance, including the fact that Nigeria is slowly but steadily sliding towards insolvency and may even begin to default on our financial commitments if there is no remarkable change in the short term. The latest warning sign is that the country may shortly lose as much as 40% of our $134.1 billion foreign reserves because of inability to repay loans obtained by the Central Bank of Nigeria. For greater introspection on this, we're now being joined from our Rice Abuja studios by Paul Alaje, an economist and financial affairs analyst. Good morning, Paul. Good to have you join us today on the morning show. And how it might affect, of course, foreign loans, be able to service our foreign loans and every issue around it. Also touch on it for us. Is this also about the failure of oversight by the National Assembly, who ordinarily ought to have been on top of this for the entire 8 years that the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari lasted, and for which not a single time was a report presented to the National Assembly? Talk to us about it.
Back to the lender. But in the case of Nigeria, when we borrow this money and the lender wants the money back, then Nigeria should expect a more devalued naira. I will repeat, a more devalued naira. This is because what we have to defend the naira will now be lower by 40%. And that is why throughout under Emefiele, you notice that the central bank continued to intervene in the market, perhaps so that the international community, this kind of pressure will not be seen. Now, we have devalued, and there are a lot of implications for the recent devaluation. When we devalued, we are telling an average American or anybody in the world that have access to dollar that they can now buy more from Nigeria with less. That is the real meaning of devalue. Those outside can buy more with less. So if you have anybody, uncle, brother, friend, spouse, anybody abroad.
Okay, let's take it bit by bit so we don't muddle so much things. If we're listening to the 1 minute clip telling us what leadership, it is telling us that leadership is at the peak, is on the shoulder of leadership for a country to survive. Now, for 8 years, APC took over power. You know, I can't forget all the unprintable things APC, the El Rufai, the Tinubu of APC then, the El Rufai of Tinubu of APC then, the liar Mohammed of APC then, the kind of unprintable things they said about Jonathan. That was the Jonathan that had Femi Adesina as the Minister for Agriculture. That was the Jonathan that had Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the Minister for Finance and Economic Management, whom even before Buhari was inaugurated, those two people were poached by international bodies. African Development Bank rushed to pick Femi Adesina. No, not Femi Adesina. Somebody Adesina, not Femi Adesina, God forbid. Femi Adesina that was working with Buhari. I've forgotten somebody Adesina to ADB. And then the World Bank came again and picked Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. From there, she landed today as the chairperson of World Trade Organization. Those were the brains that were working the economy of Nigeria. And APC says that Nigeria was a sleaze. I remember the campaign of Buhari in Imo State when he made the famous making 1 naira equal to $1. Little did we know that what he meant by 1-to-1 is that $1 will end up becoming 1,000 naira, because that is where it's going to. Akinwumi Adesina, thank you, Henrik. Thank you, God bless you. I have wonderful people. Akinwumi Adesina, African Development Bank. All right, the reader, thank you. Thank you, the reader. You're always there to save my head. I should give the reader an award. He's always there to save my head whenever we are live. All right, we need to connect so that I can tell you the topic of the day and you keep my back, okay? Text me on the chat section. Let's take it off from there, okay? So, as I was saying, these people were taken. And who did they give us as a Minister for Finance? They gave us someone who was a Commissioner of Finance in Ogun State and who happens to forge her NYSC certificate. That was who they gave us as Minister of Finance in the first tenure. And then the Minister of Finance, Minister of State for Finance, when the NYSC certificate forger left, they promoted her to make her Minister of Finance. And in collusion, the presidency, the executive, and the CBA and under MFLA, they were messing up the economy for 8 good years, depreciating our naira from 180 naira where it was to $1 in 2015 to currently 940 naira as at my last count to $1. And this political party tell us that they have a plan for Nigeria. And some people are saying, the question I ask is, like they used to say in Nigeria, then do us juju. Because as at February this year, this political party held us for 8 years. And as at February this year, a dollar was going for 700 naira. A country that gave you such a currency, a political party that gave you such a currency depreciation is who you're asking to come back. But do you know the truth? It was a lie. Nigerians did not vote them. INEC made them. INEC gave them the presidency, with probably the Inspector General of Police that commanded his boys to look the other way. Have you forgotten the guy in Lagos? What's the name of that tout in Lagos who was threatening people? And the police commissioner said that he was joking. What's the name of that person again? Gloria, remind me.
MC Oluomo.
MC Oluomo. MC Oluomo was threatening people in Nigeria, in Lagos. And police commissioner said that he was joking. Yet, on the day of the election, people's eyes were shot, people's heads were broken, people were killed. On the governorship election, the same thing happened, and the police did not do anything. Where is MC Oluomo today? People saw him in a business class flying back to Lagos, probably to US, probably to go and bank the money they paid him. He's working today. He's enjoying himself. People are being buried because of his statement. People have lost their eyeballs because of his statement. People have lost their arms and their legs because of his statement. Some mothers have lost their sons because of his statement. That is why I said INEC and Inspector General of Police made APC the government in power today, not the people. The people did not vote them. They took it. They ran with it, as they told us. You know? And then look at it. I don't know if you've heard about it, that Inspector General of Police is now coming. They're about to reward him with a senatorial seat. Few months after he left power. Tinubu just relieved him of his post. In which month? In June. And he's already coming to become a senator in APC. The question is, was he a card-carrying member of APC when he was Inspector General of Police? Are Nigerians asking this kind of question? Is it possible that this guy was an APC mole destroying Nigeria, making sure, and now they are rewarding him with a senatorial position 2 months after he left power? Can we think? It's not even up to 2 months that the new government came into power, because the new government came into power on 29th May before the president relieved him of his post. So how many months were you supposed to carry a card of a party before you become this? We need to investigate. Or has he been carrying that card? Even if he's not carrying that card, why is APC rushing to give him a waiver and give him their ticket? Is it for a job well done? Why are Nigerians not asking that question? That is why we are the way we are. That is why Singapore people are telling us that we are the way we are. Because our social cohesion and our financial stability are being messed up by those in power. Look at what you have on the board here. While Nigerians are bleeding, the Senate president is asking for ordered 4 SUVs for 1 billion. That is 250 million naira for one. How many Nigerians could that pay 100,000 naira a month? Do you understand? How many Nigerians could that pay for 100,000 naira a month? Do you understand? And one man wants to use it to just buy a vehicle. And the other day, he told his fellow senators that, for them to enjoy their holiday, people in Nigeria are selling their kidney to be able to pay school fees of their children. People, young girls in Nigeria are prostituting themselves in order to pay their school fees in the university. And these politicians are actually the people who are patronizing them. Have you seen this comedy skit on YouTube? There is this comedy skit that is a parody of the politician. It's called Zaddy. It's a politician who have all the girlfriends and what have you, telling us what our politicians do. Because it is these politicians that are spoiling these girls. As it were, they are using the same money that they would have used to make sure that the welfare of these girls are good in school. So they took the money that belonged to these girls and give it back to them after exploiting them, after they have prostituted themselves to them. They say young boys are kidnapping. It was the gun they gave to these young boys during the election that they are now using to kidnap. So you see the chain effect of what bad leadership could do to us. Bad, insensitive politicians could do to us. Soko, yes, Blue Venture, thank you. The name of that
So,
comedian is Soko.
Doc, assuming that they even invested this money, on our locally produced cars, I think that would have even helped the economy to a certain level. People like Innocent, I think we have like 3 different companies in Nigeria that are locally assemble cars like this. But
That's why
these people, they don't even think about.
They are insensitive. They don't have empathy. They are insensitive. They don't care. Let me tell you something. Do you know what's the name of the former president of Zimbabwe, the one that is late now? The one that was there for almost 30 years. Remind me his name.
Mugabe.
Mugabe. Do you know at that particular time when $1 was equal to almost going to about 1 billion Zimbabwean dollars? Do you know that the Mugabe's presidential jet was the 4th most expensive presidential jet in the world? Whilst his people were literally feeding on grass, picking food from the garbage bin, he was flying a presidential jet that was 4th most expensive in the world at that time. When you count the presidential jet of the king of Saudi Arabia and count the one of the Air Force One of the US and one other nation, his own came 4th. And all of them were flying them Boeing 747, but the equipment and the furnishing and other things. Didn't Buhari tell us that it was a waste of money to have presidential fleet, that when he became president, he would sell all of them? What did he do? He actually pumped money to use it as his own Pdp Nnpp between Nigeria and London. These people don't care. Yes, our presidential fleet was a Pdp Nnpp for him. Every minute he's in London. That was what they did to us. And so when I hear Nigerians say, oh, APC people voted him, I say it's not true. They were not voted for. They imposed themselves on us through INEC and the police. Because in Rivers State, we saw it on the television, it was the police vehicle that they were using to drive around to cut away ballot papers and go. What have they done, the police commissioners in Lagos State and in Rivers State? The man in Kogi State that they brought red ballot paper box, which is presidential too, and he picked it and tore it, in video captured it. Was the police escort not by his side, guarding him and protecting him when he was destroying votes? That is it. Whenever we go on the state of the nation, it breaks my spirit, man. Abbas corners 9.5 billion contract as National Assembly principals loot 500 billion. This is a house. This National Assembly started June. They were just inaugurated June 6. And they had been inaugurated in June 6 at the peak of Nigerians gnashing their teeth because of petroleum subsidy they removed, gnashing their teeth because of the devaluation of Naira, and see how much they are raking in for themselves in less than 2 months. Because this National Assembly will be 2 months by 6th September, and see how much they have embezzled. See how much they have appropriated to themselves. It's painful. The president said that hiring more ministers is a way of creating jobs. Did you hear that? All those monies he's going to apportion to those ministers, which I believe they are hiring, preparing them for second election, you know, and why he's getting out of, you can imagine those people who have corruption cases hanging on their neck. It's more like, let me tell you my own, call it conspiracy theory here. He hires them, he said to them, hey guys, you know there's a corruption charges on your neck. If this our government is removed, they will come after you. I am making you a minister so that you can use your budget effectively to make sure that if we go back to election that we are returned, because if we are returned, we will be covered. If we're out of power, we go to jail. I say it's conspiracy theory. Nobody told me, but I'm just thinking. I am a human being. At least I have the fundamental mind right to think. Is it not true? That's what I'm thinking. Because the so-called people they are gathering to make ministers, they are the worst of the pack. Are they not intelligent Nigerians? Must Festus Keyamo become a minister? When he failed woefully as a minister of labor, how much job did he create? There's an allegation of 50 billion on his neck, and they're returning him as a minister. And whilst he was a minister of labor, he was exporting his own money to America to go and invest, which means he did not have the confidence, any confidence in the country where he's a minister of labor. That was why he was exporting his own resources. Because when he moved that money, he depreciated our forex reserve, because he didn't move it at Naira as Naira. He moved it as dollars, thereby weakening Naira. And look at it, they are telling us here that Naira will still be depreciated more. Who will ever believe that a Naira will go for 1,000, a dollar will go for 1,000 Naira? Because that's what it looks like. If as at today, it is 940, 950, it's just 50 Naira away. A Naira becomes 1,000 Naira. As at Wednesday last week, a euro was 1,000 Naira. I don't want to mention pounds, because pounds have crossed the 1,200 Naira mark. But do they care? They don't care. So what they do is that if Naira depreciate more, they double the Naira they are collecting to be able to still buy the amount of pounds they want to buy. So like a vehicle climbing the hill using a manual transmission, they are balancing their legs on the accelerator and the clutch to make sure they don't drift back, by making sure that more Naira goes into their pockets to be able to buy their target pounds and their target dollars. These men, any leader that is doing or supporting or closing his eyes when this kind of sleaze is happening, they are the devil that is eating deep into our system. They don't mean well for us.
Yes, talking about corruption in Nigeria, there was this video that was trending on Twitter. There's this ministerial nominee that celebrated his being nominated with a wine that cost about $16,000. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. He was just celebrating for being nominated. That's to tell you the level of rot in our system. So somebody told me a story on Sunday. He was like, he has an in-law who is like a friend to him, and they relate very cordial. So not long, when Hope Uzodinma came into office, he told him that it appears he will be getting a position under the Uzodinma's government. So at the end of the day, he became a commissioner. He was telling us that go and see the houses he has built under how many months that he became a commissioner. His life has drastically change, as in when you see difference, you know that this is a huge difference at the expense of the people. You see children carrying market, as in goods on their heads, strolling around the street. They can't pay school fees. Their parents are there. They can't even afford going to the university. Then one person will just get into office. Overnight, he will just enrich himself. That's the kind of system these are politicians have established in Nigeria. And you know, when Peter Obi says that they just have a structure of criminality, you don't have structure, you don't have structure. They are just talking about structure of criminality. And looking at the way this current government is going, it appears he's not even ready to like fight corruption. Rather, they are encouraging it. All he wants is, you know, this team building of a thing. They said he's an expert in building team. They just want to, like, you know, get all these people around them, whether you are corrupt or not, just gather them. Don't forget that yesterday or day before yesterday, we looked at out of 48 ministers, 41 have corruption cases around them. I mean, currently, these nominees that have been nominated. So you can imagine, and Bauer, who is the head of the EFCC, who is investigating these people, is being held, is being held, while the people that he's investigating are getting into positions of power.
Come, you know when you say it's being held, you know what it means like? It's like, let's just say, you know, in those days, maybe some children are giving some sweets and somebody wants to protect it and they held him while others are grabbing it. They held a man who will make noise. It's not as if Bauer himself is clean, but at least he is of the other order. You know, this APC have two factions. They have the Alliance Action, the AD, Alliance for Democracy, okay? No, ACN, Action Congress of Nigerian faction, and the CPC faction. The CPC faction are the people that came from Buhari's end. The ACN are the people that come from Tinubu's end. So the likes of Shehu and all those guys who were in the north, like the former Attorney General Demanco, they were the CPC people that were controlling APC. Now the ACN guys are in power. So Bauer is part of them, but he's of the other faction. He too, his hand is dirty. But you see, we believe in justice and fair hearing. Take him to court, try him, and jail him. But you know what? They won't do it. They will not do it because he's their own. They just want to teach him small lesson by keeping him quiet while they are eating. And when the fullness of time comes, they will release him, because it's like you don't chop your own time. It is time for us to chop. That's what they're doing. And now they have bound him. They are plundering the treasury. They are, you see, as you're talking, I just went online to check. A euro is going for 1,012 naira as we talk. A euro, 1,012 naira as we talk. 1 euro. As at 9th of August, 1 euro was 980. So my worry is not even that naira is depreciating, but the speed with which it's depreciating. When the market opened today, a euro was 1,000. Before the close of market, it was 1,012 naira plus. And these guys, and do you know one of these ways that this thing is happening? Foreign investors won't want to come in, just like that video of the Singapore people. They won't come in. Now, other people who are in Nigeria will begin to move their resources out. For instance, you don't live in Nigeria. If you had like 2 million naira in Nigerian bank account before, would you leave it? You move it out quick. And when you're moving it out, it means that there is more pressure on naira. And as that pressure is increasing, naira is shrinking. Naira is depreciating. And now everybody out of panic are saying, don't store your money in naira. So everybody is buying available foreign currency, including the politicians. Because you remember that when they do bribe, they don't do bribe with naira. Who is going to carry 500 million in a bag? They convert it in dollars. And then they go to Aboki to buy it up. And if all their bookies in Abuja and in Lagos do not have, they increase their money, and that money reflects on the overall market, and naira is depreciating. And so, if another election is going to be held, how are they going to bribe? They will still use dollar to bribe, and so they're going to be mopping up more dollars. And as they do it, naira is getting crushed and crushed and crushed. But you know the funny thing? They don't care. It doesn't even worry them. Because whether it goes up or comes down, I have told you about Mugabe. That time when you want to buy a loaf of bread, they will put Zimbabwean dollar for you in a barrel. Yet Mugabe, his sons, were living in South Africa, wearing diamond bracelets that is cost $70,000 in their finger. I'm not talking of the one on their neck. I'm not talking of the kind of sports cars they were driving. When Zimbabweans were using a barrel to go buy bread. A barrel full of money to go and buy bread. So why I'm saying it is that I am trying to tell you a pattern of politicians who don't care. So don't say, no. It's going to get to a point and they will begin to feel it. And they don't have that mind, that empathy towards the common man. They don't. That is why Nigerians should pray and pray earnestly that the court will deliver us. You know why? If the court delivers, Peter Obi will fix the economy. When he went to Anambra State Treasury was at the beck and call of the Oba brothers. Every month they will come to the government house and submit their bill, and Chris Ngige will pay them. It was going into their pockets. The first governor in Anambra State, the same thing. He failed woefully. Peter Obi met Anambra State in deficit. And by the time he was leaving, we all know that he left it in surplus of, in dollars, $150 million cash, industries, and nairas in the bank. And by the time he was leaving, no pensioner was owed. This was a man who met a state in a deficit. Nigeria is ripe. It's just bad governance. There is this scripture in the Bible. For those of you listening, if you're not a Christian, there is a story in the Bible about a prophet called Elisha. Once his boys walked up to him and said, "Master, this land is good, but the water is bad. And as long as that water is bad, what happens? The whole thing, because it is the water that is watering the land. And Elisha had to heal the water. The moment the water was healed, the land became good. Nigeria is a good land. From the Atlantic Ocean up to Zamfara State, to Borno State, to Taraba State, to Kwara State, to Akwa Ibom State, to Lagos State, to Rivers State, the land of Nigeria is good. But the water of leadership is poisoning this land called Nigeria. Nigerians, let us pray for God to give us the Elijah and Elisha of our time, who will heal the waters of our leadership, and our land will start producing. That's how I'll end this night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for your analysis. Honestly, with what Mr. Peter Obi did in Anambra State, it means that Nigeria can still be remedied. We just need the right people in position of power. And like Doctor has just said, let's just keep praying that the judiciary, our judges, will not look away with the latest happenings in Nigeria. They won't behave as if it does not concern them. They will look at what is happening and dispense justice. That's just what we are crying out for. We just want them to give us justice. So guys, we'll be ending it at this point. We want to say a big thank you to all of you that joined us today, especially those that were here from the start to the end. Thank you very much for giving us your time Please don't forget to like this video so that YouTube can recommend it for others to watch. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that each time we upload a new video, you'll be notified. I really want to say a big thank you to all of you that joined us in today's live session. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow. Dr. Tel, thank you for your contribution tonight.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Thank you
you
so
and
much.
good night.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Good. Bye. Thanks.